Welcome to Redbeard Radio. I'm Brian Keith, and we often walk through a whole bunch of different places on our journey. And sometimes we think that there's a one directional thing where, you used to work at a firm and then you started your own business and maybe started your next own business. And the reality for a lot of us is that we actually go back and forth between different kinds of ways we're making money, ways we're building our brands. And we have some guests today who have a fascinating story. They went from being photographers to back into the corporate world and then out into the affiliate marketing world. And we're going to hear from them about how and why they chose to go through these different areas and how they really adapted their business models to serve them. So welcome to the show, Jake and Kat.
Hi, thank you for having us on, Brian.
Yes, it's a pleasure to be on here.
I'm excited to hear your guys' story. Now, let's start off with back when you guys were photographers. Can you share some about your photography business and what that was like?
Yeah, it was, it's very interesting. Anytime that we've ever gotten ahead in life, right, was always through somebody else that we knew. And so this was actually through my dad's uncle. He partnered with this company back in early 60s or something like that, genealogical company, where he digitized documents, right? He did microfishing and all that. And so, the progression of time obviously came out photography and digital imaging and all of that. And so he needed somebody that was younger and could understand computers better. So that opened the door for us to come in, right? And so we were subcontractors under him, but we still got paid as a 1099. So, technically our own business. And so we did that for about 5 years, right? That had us traveling all over. We would go to different archives and gather documents and digitize these records for a genealogical company. So people could go in and research their ancestors, birth, death, marriage certificates. And it was something that's very positive, right? There's a lot of people that find pleasure in seeking out their ancestors.
And you connected a lot of people. They will never know that it was you who did it, right? But your work had an impact on bringing families together. So it's meaningful, right?
Correct. Yeah. And those documents that we, took pictures of, those would be sent into this company. They would process them and getting them online for others to access.
Mm-hmm. Now, when did you guys decide that you were going to shift gears on how you made money?
Honestly, I think that came when the door was open to us, right? We didn't know what was available to us until we saw what we could have, right? We didn't know what we wanted until we knew what was available, I guess. Better way to put it.
Now that sentence right there, that's like a 5-hour interview right there. Could you say that again?
Yeah, we didn't know what we wanted until we knew what we could have.
Wow. That feels really profound. So what was the moment that you guys came to understand that you could do something else beyond what you were doing?
I think it is we had a photography business and then we lost that. And so we wanted that back. We had to go back to a traditional job. And we also had, because of our photography business, we ended up expanding. So we were living in 2 different places. And it really put burden on our marriage. We lived apart for about a year, and it made us realize that we did not want that. We had a son who was 3 years old, and I was raising him by myself as a single parent. And we kind of realized we didn't want that life. And so we decided, you know what, it would be better if we could find something that would allow me to stay home so that I could work from home, that I could have a business online, that I could manage from home and raise my kids. So that's kind of why we shifted.
So it was sort of like you came to this moment where you got to choose, do you want the money or do you want the freedoms or the living according to your values? And you guys said, wait a minute, we accidentally chased the money and the result we got sucked. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely.
I think a lot of us get to that point. Hopefully we notice it in time. But when we look back and we say, why have I been doing it this way for this long? I didn't mean to do that. And yet, poof, suddenly we're there. So you guys got to the moment, the decision where you said, this money's not worth it. What happened next?
What happened next is I was actually introduced to some very successful entrepreneurs in the area. This was through a friend. I kind of was complaining to him one day, letting him know where we were at and the frustration of not being able to see my family. Mm-hmm. And he was like, well, you need to meet the people that I'm connected up with, right? And I was like, well, sure. I mean, if they have the lifestyle you're telling me about, and and this is somebody that they retired in their mid-30s. not to have to work a job for, that's when, what, probably 17 years for them now. And to be around somebody like that could pour into us and give us knowledge and background on what they did and were willing to help teach us on what to do to become better. That's what we pursued. But in the process of that, I actually met another friend that he opened the door for me to becoming an electrician again, because that's what my background was prior to photography. And so I had to go back into the corporate field, if you will, right, as an electrician, working construction, and just so we could keep the bills paid while we built something else on the side.
That's fascinating. Just how you're using the skills across time and going in, like you describe it as like going back to the corporate world, right? But it's also what you're doing to allow yourself to grow something that it's again, it's not this one directional thing. It's that there's all these directions happening all at the same time.
Yeah. And we didn't see that being a forever thing, right? Because we saw the value of owning your own business. When we had our photography business, right, that gave us freedom from the control of somebody else telling us what to do. Like we didn't have to tell anybody when we were going to go. We just, if we didn't want to show up or if we wanted to take off early, we just said, hey, we'll be back in on Monday or whatever, take off early that day and not really have to be under the control of somebody else telling us what to do. And that's the value we saw in that. And so we knew that owning your own business or being a part of something like that would be what we wanted to pursue.
And so what stage of your new business are you at?
As far as...
Yeah, you have the vision of where you want to be. And I'm curious about as you make the transition back from the corporate world into being entrepreneurial again, where are you at with that? And like, what's the next step? What does that feel like?
Yeah. Okay. So what we've been able to accomplish this far, we ended up paying off all our debts that we had acquired. And then we made it so that my wife, Kat, would not have to work. We knew that with growing kids and everything, the cost of daycare and all that was just going to keep going up. And so we wanted to make it one of our values, right, is to have mom at home raising the kids and instilling that into our kids. We made it so that she's able to stay at home, right? She'll never have to work a job again. And that's something that I take a lot of pride in. And our next goals moving forward is to make it so that we can replace my income with my current job as an electrician, so that we can be stay-at-home parents together and raise our kids together, leave and go on vacations whenever we want, and just kind of live the life that we want, not having to be controlled by money or a job, all of that together.
You're describing a life of not being controlled by money, but instead controlling money. And a lot of people would say they want that, but they've not got to the place where you are at in breaking free. What would you say for the two of you? Why is it that you guys are succeeding at this where a lot of people fail? Is it your values? Is it the parents you happen to be born to? Is it what?
Well, I definitely don't think it has anything to do with the parents that we were born to. We have amazing parents. Our parents are very hard workers, but they were never taught how to be entrepreneurs. And that's one thing that we learned. It wasn't until we were 27 that we realized that there's other ways to make money, and that it's all about who you know, not what you know. And so we were just definitely blessed to be in the right place at the right time, where we met the people that opened the door to us to learn something new. I think, we're all taught our entire lives. Well, most of us, unless you're born to an entrepreneur, go to school, get good grades so that you can get that good job and you can work the next 40 years and get a paycheck. And we thought that's the only way that we could live. We were taught that our entire life. And so we didn't realize that there's more ways to make money. We were only taught how to become an employee. So the opportunity that we were given helped us to realize that we were, in a sense, lied to our entire life, because we didn't know. We just thought that's what it was. Like, oh, I guess we just have to work till, we're 72, we retire, and then we just have to, we slowly just die away. And I think that's what a lot of people, they do, and they don't realize that there's more ways to make money out there, because that's also what they're taught. So that's, the way that they live. And so I actually saw a quote today that said that you can do anything that you set out to do. You just have to have the will to work hard and the belief that you can accomplish great things. And I think a lot of people, especially now in these days and the chaos in the world, is they are giving up hope. They don't want to work hard. They want to be given things. They want to have handouts and have maybe the government, just give them things, or they still live with their parents and their parents are supporting them. And that's something that once we saw the vision that we could be the person that people rely on, that was huge to us. We want to be the person that, when our parents are at a place where they need to go in a retirement home, we want to be able to provide that for them. We want to be able to, pay off our parents' house. We want to be able to bless other children by, adopting children and bringing them into our home, into a good lifestyle where they can have the things that they probably were not going to be given.
Yeah, just to add on to that, to help answer your question too, from my thoughts, is your question was what the bigger impact that's made us more successful. And I would have to attribute that to the people that we're connected up with, right? Having the right coach and the right mentor in your life to lead you and guide you, because they've been there, right? They can see the potholes that we're about to step in and help us avoid those potholes.
How did you identify the right mentors?
I would think I would say that it's the fruit from the tree, right? If it's got good fruit, then that they're going to be able to give you good direction. And so that's what we did, is we studied the people that we were potentially going to be coached by and mentored by. And once we saw that it was good fruit, we knew that would be a good path and somebody to trust going forward.
There's an infinite number of people out there giving advice. And so it's just a fascinating thing. How do you know who to trust? How do you know who to follow? Of all the different people saying, I'm a bazillionaire, follow me. And you guys chose somebody and they ended up being a legit person, and then multiple people who ended up being good teachers for you. I wish there was some kind of secret method, like here's Jake and Kat's 3-part plan to how to find the perfect mentor. But it sounds like it's not that simple.
Yeah, I don't know if it's that simple, really. What I do think, though, is definitely studying out the people that you're getting around. Somebody, follow me. This is my great plan to success or whatever. Look into it, do the homework, and study up on who it is, what their values are, and if it lines up, then yeah, it makes sense.
Well, I love your guys' story. For folks who want to connect more with you and hear more about your story, where's a good place to find you and to hear about your new business?
So we do have a website. It's rediscoverhope.org. And the reason why we have that website and we bought that URL is because we've always wanted to give people hope, because that's what we were given with the opportunity that in the business that we have, is because, our marriage was broken. My brother committed suicide, and that was a big thing for me, is I wanted to give people hope and, open their eyes to this world and the good in the world. I think a lot of people see so much bad in the world, but there really is so much good. And so that's our website, is rediscoverhope.org. That is mainly our product website.
Wonderful. Rediscoverhope.org. Jake and Kat, thanks for being on Redbeard Radio.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.